I want to just mention that we've got the Fulton Sheen Day on the 14th of October. You're welcome to come to that event. We have the actual mitre of Fulton Sheen that will be at our Sacred Heart Chapel on display. So that'll be kind of like a relic, of Fulton Sheen's that he wore when he was as a bishop in America. Yes, Romero, I have to tell you something, man. We take a break, right? We don't really take breaks. People are communicating with us. We just love it because it's high energy Catholic radio here. We're not here to just have, we're going to read you this. We're going to tell you. No, we're on fire. Why? Because we love Jesus Christ and his bride, the church, enough to spend every day of our lives sharing that gospel because we know life is short and eternity is forever. So, Jess, let's get into this new article about the Cardinals sending a Dubia to Pope Francis ahead of the Senate.
Yeah, this is good news.
Yeah, it is.
They've done this before to no avail. It didn't. The Pope Francis never responded, but now you got again 5 cardinals sent to Dubia.
Yeah,
these are a set of questions of Pope Francis. They're expressing their concerns. They want to seek clarification on points of doctrine and discipline ahead of the week opening of the Synod and Synodality at the Vatican. And so the Dubia questions were sent August 21st, and they want clarity.
Yes,
clarity.
No, yes or no answers, man.
Yes, they don't want filibuster.
Right.
And that's what happened. Pope Francis sent a filibuster response. These are yes and no questions. The Dubias were signed by Cardinal Walter Brandmuller, Cardinal Raymond Burke, Cardinal Zen Zekium, Cardinal Juan Iniguez Sandoval, and Cardinal Robert Serra.
Jesse, just to back up, Sandoval is the Mexican cardinal from Mexico, and we quoted him a lot of times because he went after the Mexican government and spoke up where a lot of the bishops wouldn't say. Do you remember that?
I'm surprised he's alive. I'm surprised he's alive still.
Yeah, he's 90 years old, but he's a man that is on mission, so I want to thank him at his age. Especially in Cardinal Zen, who we've had on our show. This is a man who suffered for the faith, and he is speaking up. These men are, and then Cardinal Robert Serra, the holiest cardinal that we have, in my opinion. I've read every book he comes out with, and he's saying, hey, this needs to be addressed for the salvation of souls. Because, Jesse, the thing that they made it clear was they're concerned about error being promoted, just like us.
Yeah, and they're applying the same canon 212.
That's right.
Applies to them as well as us.
Oh, yeah.
That they have the right and duty and the responsibility to confront their sacred pastors, which would be the Pope, the Holy Father.
Yes.
And that's exactly what we're doing here, Terry. we're invoking canon 212. That's within our rights as Catholics.
That's right.
This is the teaching of the Magisterium of Vatican II and prior. Again, we see this. Paul confronted St. Peter in the New Testament when Peter was going off the plumb line as well.
Right.
So the first response was a filibuster.
It didn't make any. It didn't. Well, you know who did who answered the question for the Holy Father?
I don't think it was the Pope.
No, it was the prefect for the doctrine of the faith. Now they call it a Castor, the new guy who
the DDF,
and he basically danced around. And they responded saying, "You didn't answer the questions, man. It's a yes or no answer. We've got to get clarity here." But you see, they don't see, Jesse, I'm going to be honest with you. The way I see it, they don't see Catholicism in black and white. They see
they don't.
In shades of gray. I'm sorry, but that's how I see it.
Well, you can see by the way they respond. Now, apparently, the Vatican has responded now, but the 5 cardinals are holding the answer close to their vest. They're not sharing what was said. That's what the article says. And so I just know the first answer was the filibuster, and the second answer, the cardinals are not. And they probably don't want to depress us. That's why they're probably not showing it, Terry. I'm assuming.
Could be scandalous.
Exactly, and they're probably saying, you know what? We don't want to scandalize the entire Catholic Church, all the laity. So we'll just hold this, keep this to ourselves, and we're not going to make it public because they're not making it public. So, Terry, if it was a good, solid Catholic perennial teachings, Orthodox response, I think they would have released it immediately. They would have said, oh, look what the Holy Father just said. Yeah. Nothing to hide here. No. But the fact is, I don't think it went too well on our side, on the side of what I would call orthodoxy, the perennial teachings of the church, or was called the deposit of faith, the term that's gotten Pope that's got Bishop Strickland in trouble just for using a catechism term, deposit of faith.
Yeah.
I don't think it went too well, Terry, and I think that's why they haven't released it to us, the 5 Dubia cards.
I like what Cardinal Burke said, that what is the key in the Dubia and the reformulation of Dubia concern primary these two things, Jesse: the church doctrine and discipline, the salvation of souls. Remember, canon law says that everything the church should do deals with ultimately the salvation of souls. So when the church is talking about recycling my water bottle, Jesse, that I have in my hand, that's not the salvation of souls. No, our focus is supposed to be, as the church, the salvation of souls, everything it does. And I believe, just seeing what I see, is that the church, unfortunately, our spiritual fathers have become too much one with the world and saying, well, the world says we got to have equal things for women. We got to have so many women on our staff, just like the world says. Oh, and they have to be a women's ordination because it wouldn't be fair if only men get ordained. The world says that we're equal. But you see, what they're forgetting is the supernatural, Jesse. Our leaders in our church have become too much one with the world and not enough with Christ. Okay, that's a judgment call based on what I see here.
Yeah, that's the judgment call based on observation, based on what we're seeing.
Yeah.
And Terry, I'm telling you right now, right now as Catholics, is when we should to get some peace of mind.
Yeah.
I just tell people, pray that serenity prayer every day. Lord, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Boy, oh boy, does that serenity prayer make more sense today than ever before.
And Jesse, if I can jump in and say, and adding to that, what we need to be doing is making reparation for this tragedy that's taking place in Rome right now by prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. As a matter of fact, visits to the Blessed Sacrament, it should console anyone, because there we are with the body, blood, soul, and divinity of Jesus Christ. But I'm just going to mention Eucharistic adoration, rosary. I also include supplication to the holy angels. We just had the Guardian Angel Feast Day. And I was going to ask you, I'm telling my wife, I haven't done this, but I'm going to do it, Jesse. I'm going to have masses offered for that specific need, that they will stay faithful to the teachings of Christ and not of the world. And also, all our Holy Communions right now, Jesse, we had one this morning. We're going to have one, 2:30, Monsignor's coming. Offer your Holy Communion for the Senate, that they will not compromise one iota on the faith. This is what you can do, folks. Fasting, prayer belongs to, and other things. Maybe fast from TV, fast from the media. I have a lot of people tell me, I'm so worried because I keep reading about this. Stop reading and pray, okay?
There you go.
You're going to get a change. And then almsgiving. It's a concrete realization of helping the merciful love for one's neighbor is the most efficient part of our commitment. Even little modest almsgiving has very, very effective means to help Holy Mother, the Church. And so overall, our intention is to form the Blessed Mother, the holy angels, and the saints to each other, a radiant ring of protection, over the doctrine of the Catholic faith. Because this is what's really being addressed at this Senate, Jesse. I'm going to call it a new church. Now, you say, wait a minute, Terry, what do you mean a new church? Well, if they start changing the doctrines of the church that are perennial teachings, they can't do that. And if they try to do that, they won't be part of the Catholic Church. Now, Jesse, am I onto something, or is that just wishful thinking?
They're going to be saying that we're not part of the Catholic Church, trust me, because they're in power.
Right.
So they're going to be saying, people like you and I that hold to the
tradition.
that. And here's the words that they're using, Terry, right now currently. They're saying that we have to, as Catholics, we have to listen and obey to the current magisterium. Mm-hmm. Notice, current magisterium. That's never been said before, Terry.
Nope.
That's not a word that's been said in the last 2,000 years.
Right.
What's always been taught is that we have to listen to the magisterium of the church, the perennial teachings of the church.
That's right.
The magisterium, which encompasses the last 2,000 years. I've never heard the phrase the current magisterium.
Won't.
And that's what's being used right now to try to psyops people, to try to to use mind control. And what's also being used is the word radical inclusion.
Yeah.
I call it radical inclusion, but we have to be inclusive of everybody. Inclusion. Yeah, that's true. We have to include everybody if they repent and believe in the gospel and confess their sins and have contrition and walk in a state of grace, choose to follow Christ. Of course, then everybody's welcome. But people have to be welcome under the terms of the gospel, Terry.
That's
not
key.
not under the terms of secular humanism. And it seems to me, Terry, here's something interesting. I remember years ago, under Pope John Paul II and Pope Francis and Pope Benedict XVI, they were always going at it with the UN.
Yeah.
They were always going at it with the United Nations
Right.
and fighting and winning, Terry, and winning a lot. Now, it's quite the opposite. In the last 10 years, Terry,
Yeah, just the opposite.
we're not fighting against the UN.
No.
We have become one with the UN.
Yes.
Everything the UN promotes, contraception, abortion on demand,
Bad.
euthanasia, homosexual ideology, Mother Earth, climate change. Now the UN and I'll say it, the current Vatican speak the same language.
And that's very sad. And this is why we need to pray for our church.